My name is Jade, owner and principal planner of Joyful Events by Jade, and this is The Cookie Table. This is a podcast all about love, marriage, relationships, and the wedding industry, wedding news. Perfect for anyone that is getting married, is married, a wedding vendor, or someone that just loves weddings. Grab your favorite cookie from The Cookie Table, pour yourself a glass of Chardonnay, and let's get into it. Holy shit. I feel like this is going to be some closure for us. Broadway, thank you so much for joining The Cookie Table. This is my co-host from when I was in radio and on the morning show. I feel honored. I feel honored that you're here.
Well, thanks for the invite. It's good to be on your show. I saw you post an episode and it caught my attention. And I thought maybe we should have a conversation together about it.
I thought it was appropriate as well. So I have to ask you quickly here, because you're on The Cookie Table, what is your favorite cookie?
I used to hate oatmeal raisin cookies, and then my current co-host, her name is Laura, her mom cooks for me all the time because I'm single now, I'm divorced, so she feels pity for me and she cooks. And she made me cookies, and she made me oatmeal raisin cookies with chocolate chips, but she used golden raisins instead of regular raisins. And that's my new favorite cookie. They are incredible. The first bite I took, I was like, I'm going to hate this, and I love them. I love them. So.
Wow, that sounds delicious. I'm going to have to try one. It could just be her cooking to her baking if she's good at it.
She's really good.
And I decided to get a beer from East End Brewing. You and I went to a can release when you were here in Pittsburgh to East End, so I felt like it only made sense. My fellow craft beer friend, this is called Seedless Watermelon Goza. So I'm going to go for it here. No cookies since you're virtual, but that's okay. We'll just think about those cookies, the oatmeal, whatever cookies, and I'm going to drink a beer.
Raisin. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell the people what you're doing. Let's talk about your current life, what station you're on now, how we can hear you now.
I'm in Traverse City, Michigan. I run a station up here, actually. It's a throwback pop station, so it's the 90s to now, everything from Michael Jackson to Post Malone to Morgan Wallen. We really play everything. We break all the rules, all the traditional rules of radio, too. It's a really fun station. We have an app called The Radio Center. It's all one word, and people can listen on that. And I'm on weekday mornings, 5:30 to 10.
And I always thought it was interesting because morning shows were your favorite, and you're just not tired somehow. You love waking up early. It's like your favorite thing to do.
Did I say that? I like being done and out by noon.
Is that what it is?
I'm tired.
Maybe not the waking up part, but I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. Because I did it for a little bit with you, and I was like, will this ever get better? And I felt like it never did.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You were always on time, though. Always on time and never showed up with a smile, but you were there.
No, oh my God, I barely made it. Thanks so much for that one.
You would come in, you would get there, and you would go in a separate room from me because you needed time and space before we could see each other and speak.
I would do my prep in one room, you would do it in the other one because I just needed time.
I'm a lot.
But you were okay with that, and you respected me, and that's what meant a lot. So you have been in radio for a while. Tell us when you started.
1997 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I guess it's been 27 years now. When I was 15 at the time, so I'm not like 100
15.
Yes.
He doesn't look like he's been in radio for that long, but yes, you started at 15, so that makes a little bit more sense there. So, you came to Pittsburgh, and for those, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, go listen to it first, then come back to this one, I feel like. So last week, just a very quick recap. I started to get into my radio experience when I got into it at 19, but essentially cross paths, obviously, here with Broadway, and we were on a morning show together, but kind of quickly recapping what happened. What I talked about last week was basically, in layman's terms, I was manipulated into a morning show producer contract that only paid me $12 an hour. I was kind of forced into that. We were treated like absolute shit. It wasn't normal. It was really weird to the point where we both were so unhappy. We had so much anxiety around our work. Sales wouldn't sell us. And the place seems to be a revolving door. So that's my quick recap. I feel like that kind of is enough there. But I want to really give you the floor to kind of start talking about your experience, kind of what brought you to Pittsburgh and the worst parts about it, because I felt like we had something really amazing going on. It could have been even better. You know, you and I obviously have a chemistry. You have to have a chemistry with someone that you're on a fucking morning show with, because you're with that person from 5 to 10, Monday through Friday, in a confined studio talking pretty intimately. And then you spend all this time outside of on air together, talking every single day about what we're going to talk about on the show, doing work together at our desks afterwards, going to events together. You are truly work husband and wife in this scenario. So you have to like that person. If you don't, that'll probably be a little bit of a bummer. But we were grateful that I felt like we obviously had chemistry and got along, but I feel like we low-key kind of also trauma bonded because this was such a fucked up situation. So start telling me about your side of things, and I want you to use this platform to start getting it off your chest, essentially.
Wow. Well, where to even start? I mean, what you said, all of what you said was totally accurate and true. And I listened to the episode at like 4 a.m. because I was up getting ready for work, and you released it at midnight. It was the first thing I went to check out. And you had me in tears just talking about how you stayed for me, basically. And I mean, I can't tell you how much that means to me, because that was like, I mean, I'm a very anxious person, a lot of anxiety. And at the end of my time in Pittsburgh, I was like non-functional. Like I couldn't even, like I was physically sick to my stomach every day going into work, wondering if I was going to step on a landmine. I really felt like I was in a war zone every day, walking around, like trying the best I could do. And I remember saying to you so many times, oh my God, we got to have a meeting. Our boss would send us Outlook invites in the middle of our show after we would do something. And I'd be like, I don't know what we did. It must be something we just did. And it was like, and I just kept thinking, we're grown-ups, like we're adults. We come in here every day trying to succeed because we don't want to get in trouble. Yet here we are getting in trouble every day. And it's like, we would get yelled at. I'm like, I'm a grown-ass man trying to do the right thing, and you're yelling at me like I'm in kindergarten. And it was just, there was absolutely no path to success. I try to reset every day when I'd wake up and be like, we're going to start over. We're going to start fresh. We're just going to follow instructions, do the right thing, and it's going to work out. And it was just day after day of misery. And I remember the day that I was shown the door. I was already looking for a new job for months, and I was grateful that I was shown the door because I then got a severance. So I got paid to not work for a little while. And I remember leaving and calling my wife at the time going, yeah, I just got let go. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, I have never felt better. Like this is the most freeing feeling of my entire life. Like I felt like I was out of prison finally, and I could go live my life.
In terms of him sending us these calendar invites, so imagine trying to do your best work and you're on the air until 10, but at 8 a.m. you get an invite, come see me when you get off the air. So you know, because this man's already so terrible that he's going to just ream you. So you and I are anxious people. So for 2 hours, you're supposed to put on a good show for other people when you know you're going to just get totally fucked as soon as you get off the air.
And we were just back and forth like, oh my God, I wonder what it's about. Oh my God, I don't know. Oh my God, the end of the world. Oh my God. It was just like, there was no way that one of us could even keep the train on the tracks because we were both so fucked, mind fucked from this calendar invite, knowing we're going to get yelled at.
It was never a good thing. I think maybe one time there was one positive, oh my gosh, good for you two today. But other than that, we knew we were going to get completely reamed for something. There were 2 different occasions I'll never forget. He barged in to the studio while we're on the fucking air. While we're on the air. He couldn't wait to yell at us that badly that he barged in the studio and told us we said something incorrectly. Do you remember? The biggest thing that he yelled at us the one time I remember was Swirgles. And local to Pittsburgh, Swirgles is a farm that people go for, vegetables. And everyone from Pittsburgh, when you grow up and you're born and raised from Pittsburgh, which our boss was not, by the way, you said Swirgles. Like me. Exactly. So this guy didn't know Pittsburgh any better than whatever. Like, he was trying to tell someone who, myself, locally born and raised in this area my entire life, that I was saying something wrong. And he barged in and said, it's Swirgles. It's Swirgles. You're saying it wrong. And I gave him that biggest death stare ever. And then I was fuming for the next hour and a half until we got off the air. And then when we went in the office, he actually, I never will forget this. He did apologize. But I was like, I've lived here my whole life. Everyone says it's Swargles. Like, it's Swargles. It's Swargles. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me that, like, I'm saying local, something wrong? Like, yeah. So just imagine your boss even barging in and stopping you.
The town was between Mars and like Cranberry. God, I wish I could remember the name of the town, but we said it a certain way, or we were debating how to say it, because there was two different ways to say it. And I remember he came in the studio and claimed to know how to say this town also. It was another time that I wore a Detroit Tigers jersey to work. I was still relatively new to the market. And I remember I'd have a special meeting about that. You weren't involved in that meeting, but I was wearing a Tigers jersey, and that was forbidden. I'm like, but we didn't post any pictures on social media. I didn't go anywhere or do anything. I'm just coming to work and going home. But do you understand the kind of message that you're sending to the people around the office? I'm like, what, that I'm from fucking Michigan? Because I am. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, Yins guys, like I'm not from Pittsburgh. I'm not going to try to be a poser. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that I hate more than somebody pretending to be something or somebody that they're not. So, and I was brand new to the market too. I was just like, we're having a meeting about this, about my fucking clothing. Like, and then I went and bought this.
Yes, I was going to say, thank you for wearing the Pirates hat today. I know that was very intentional.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't have yelled at you if you wore a different one, though. I do promise you that. But it got to the point where, yes, Broadway, you're getting yelled at for your clothes. Like, it was just not normal or healthy. Like, another really crazy thing that he did that would bother us was anytime we'd email him, he would never just email us the fuck back. He was one of those guys that wouldn't leave a paper trail, but there was nothing bad. Like, that's what was so strange about it. So, again, imagine you're just trying to work and you're trying to live your life and you're trying to do the best job ever. Let me just get a really quick response here. I just have a question about something. Well, you have to come to my office. Come to my office and we'll talk more. No, I don't want to go to your office. I don't want to talk to you more. Like, just email me the fuck back. Like, I need a quick 30-second answer so I can move on. And he would then end up keeping us in his office for like way too long. Like, it wasn't productive. But like, he was one of those guys that didn't want a paper trail or something. Like, it never made any sense to me.
I wish I would like to. We should reach out to the other. What did they had like 7 or 8 morning shows since us and see what their experience was like. It's once a year. There's a new morning show. They even brought in another guy that went by Broadway for like a year and a half, and I kept getting tagged in shit because people thought it was me. I'm like, was this intentional? I don't understand. Do you miss me?
Right, which is even more messed up because it's like to try to hold on to you in that sense, to bring in a different Broadway, but then you weren't treated fairly when you were here. It was delusional. Like, it was just all like low-key delusional. But one thing that I'll never forget as well is when you first started, you were working a lot because you're putting in a lot of production. Like, something that's really special about you, Broadway, is you're really, really good with the production side of things and audio, and you really, really get it. And I think that needs to be said because not everyone in radio does that quote unquote dirty work or whatever. Like, you put all of that time into the production side of things off the air, and you were really good at it. And you were producing all of these things for our show when we first got started. And we were on salary, but we also had a timesheet. So you were putting on the timesheet how long you were working for. You were putting in overtime when you first started because of all the work you're putting in. And what happened after you turned in one of those first overtime timesheets?
Oh, we're not going to pay you for this overtime. You can't put overtime. But you want me to put the hours I'm working? No, we just want you to put 8 hours a day on this timesheet. That's all you need to do. It's a union situation, so it was very pro-employee, a very pro-employee environment.
Yep.
And I don't know I can't remember the 75,000 page union handbook or whatever it was, but I'm sure I was supposed to have been paid overtime for those hours, even though I was a salaried employee. Yeah. You remember that better than I do because I didn't really hold on to that. I heard you mention it in the last episode, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's funny how that like random things just kind of hit your head, and I was thinking about more, and then even like when I was done with last week's episode, I started thinking about more things, and I'm just like, what's the point of having a timesheet if you're not going to pay overtime? Because they wanted us to put like our sales stuff on there, I guess, but which we didn't even fucking get anyways, like all of our remotes, which we didn't get. But let's tally up the list here, right? You're getting yelled at every day. You're basically being told you suck, and you're also being told I'm not paying you for your time if it's over 40 hours. Like, it just doesn't end. It doesn't end. So you fought for me to be your co-host, which meant so much to me.
First of all, the audition thing was so awkward for me because I'm brand new to the market, and
right.
I would have rather just come in and had a co-host already picked out and been like, hey, this is who you're going to work with. That would have been good for me because I come to the market and we've got these people lined up that I'm supposed to audition that are already employees, have already all been with the company for a while, and I'm supposed to audition these people, and I'm going to leave a bunch of people pissed off. No matter what happens, even if I'm not ultimately making the decision, I'm part of the process, and I'm going to piss off a bunch of people that are already part of this culture in this building. Like, what a way to set somebody up for failure and be hated in the building, right? All of the people that auditioned were really good in their own way. You were the quickest learner. You were quick on your feet. You were incredibly receptive. You were like wanting to know what the next thing was, as opposed to I've worked with a lot of people in this business who, will do the break and then they're just like on their social media, like checking their feeds or whatever. And, they're just waiting for me to make the next move. You're like, what are we doing next? You're editing audio during the show. Like, this is the reason why I've called you, I don't know how many times since we've stopped working together and said, hey, I got an opportunity. You should come work with me. But I know you're done in radio. It was wishful thinking. But yes, I absolutely wanted you the position, but it was more of that's great. I'm glad you feel that way, but this is really what we should do. And the other person that was up for the job before you, I still talk to her. She's a great person. But she had no experience, but she, like you had said in the previous episode, she was more, she was a country music fan. That was like, she was living the lifestyle.
Right.
That doesn't really matter, but.
I appreciate you for all of that. And what, like you said, you had to audition with people that were already in the building, and that person that you're referring to is a great person. She wasn't really in the building, so that's what made it kind of worse for me. She wasn't really part of anything. I don't even remember how she got recommended. It was a very random thing, but she was not in the culture. She wasn't on the air part-time like I was. Like, it was even weirder. But his fixation was, she's really country. She needs to be on this. We need a country person to kind of counteract that. So when everything happened where she couldn't basically get the job, he gave it to me because he kind of didn't have a choice. But to fill that country void, we were forced a third person onto the show because he felt like it was so necessary. So I kind of want you to dive into your point of view on that before I speak my piece there.
This person was very nice, very funny, but it made absolutely no sense when you and I are trying to develop a show and a flow and a chemistry to throw another person in the mix.
Yes.
And we were forced to use this person to do what's called stunting, which is very 1990s radio, where you send a guy out on the street and he's acting like an idiot, jumping around in his man thong or whatever and just trying to get attention.
Yes.
Mikey and Bob at KISS had a ton of success doing that when they first got to the market, but it's not a thing anymore. People don't do stunts, but we were forced to do it, and we tried to do it, and we tried to come up with creative ideas and put a smile on our face, but both of us knew in the moment as we're sending this guy out on the streets to act like an idiot that he doesn't really want to do it because he doesn't want to look like an idiot, and we don't want to do it because we know it's a complete tune-out. Our audience doesn't care about it. It's not interesting. It wasn't funny. The payoff took forever to get to, and it just like you could see you could just see the train wreck. You knew that the train was going to crash, and there was nothing you could do about it. We could both feel people tuning out.
Yes. Used to pull up the real-time meter so we could see people listening and how many people are active and how long they're active for and at what points. And when these stunts would happen, we would see in live time these listeners drop off. And that was a big part of
competitor. Yeah.
And go to our competitor. Exactly. And that was a big part of our issue. And then we tried to show this to our boss. We tried to speak about that, but he didn't care.
He didn't care. I mean, that's what it was like. He just dismissed it. And it's like, well, you're not even taking time to explain why I'm supposed to be okay with people tuning out. You could literally see the people that mattered, that create the ratings in the market, leaving our stations because of what we're doing, because of what we were told to do.
Exactly. And, we're going to get more, and if we have time, I'd love to get more into your experience again, why what you're currently doing is so positive. From my poor experience, it didn't feel like there was any way to have really any creativity, because we were forced to do things that we didn't want to do. Like, we were forced to have stupid topics that we didn't think were good. Like, there was all these things that were just forced onto us, and you're just really smart and you get radio. Like, you get it really, really well. And you tried to do like a different kind of contest, or remind me about the Taylor Swift thing, but he didn't like it.
Oh man, so the Taylor Swift thing, you brought up, he was furious that we didn't do the topic about why
Yes.
we didn't ask people what they were going to wear to the concert. And I was like, what the, nobody cares about that. But I did take audio from an old Taylor Swift interview, and we repurposed it when she was in town, and it made it sound like we were the only station that had her on doing an interview. It was a real interview that I just repurposed, which we
Nice.
never got any credit or props for that. And that was like, okay, don't give us any credit for that. But we had tickets leading up to the concert to give away, and those even back in 2017 were like the hottest ticket you could get. And he would plan out our contests for certain times of the morning when ratings were dipping. You could see when people tuned in and tuned out, like Jade said. So, like at certain times of the morning, we knew that we needed to increase listenership. So he would assign the giveaways to very specific times, but those times when not a lot of people were tuning in were also times when not a lot of people were even listening to the radio, because you could see how many people were in the market and how many people were actually available to listen. And he would assign them to the most obscure times when you really couldn't get any success. So I just moved the ticket giveaways to the peak time when the most people were actually listening to the radio in the market.
Yep.
And we ended up spiking up into the top 5 because you could get weekly ratings reports. And I don't know if it was for the month or for the week, we spiked up into the top 5, and he looked at it, and I remember having, one of our 75,000 meetings, and he was like, holy shit, you guys were in the top 5. And I said to him, I moved the giveaway, and he got fucking pissed. You moved the giveaway? Why'd you move the giveaway? I'm like, well, look what happened. Oh, well, you did what I said not to do, and you didn't listen to me again. And I'm like, oh my God, we spiked up into the top 5 by doing something right. I mean, sometimes you got to take a chance and do what you think is right.
Right.
And that's what we did. That's what I did. You didn't. I think that you probably told me not to do it, or gave me the side eye when I told you what we were doing, and it worked. But he didn't give a shit.
Just now that this stuff is like coming up more and more, I'm still so shocked that all this even happened.
Yeah, it was really a rough year. I mean, I will never. I compare everything to that year now, and there's been times
I know.
when I've had some rough relationships in the workplace, and I'm like, wow, well, this is nothing compared to what it was like in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to be fine.
I know. I know. Oh, it did. It shaped us and it built us, and we're both stronger, honestly. But we've mentioned the ratings and seeing things a few times now. So I want you to explain a PPM market. That's what Pittsburgh is. So I want people to understand how ratings are actually, how we receive them, how I think it's really fucking stupid and really old. So I want you to explain that for people, please.
Okay, yeah. So in Pittsburgh, there's a company. I'm not going to name the company. I got in trouble for talking about the company before, so I won't name the company. But there's a company, and basically they'll call people. Do you want to take a survey? Well, I don't even know how they get people on the phone anymore because nobody answers the phone. But they get people to agree to take a survey, and these people that agree to take the survey have no idea how this can affect somebody's livelihood. And I wish that they would do a better job marketing and advertising it. But when somebody agrees to do it, they give them a device. And last time I knew it looked like a pager. Literally looks like a pager from like 1990. And they ask you to carry it around, and everywhere you carry it, it picks up the signal of whatever radio station's playing. So you can't lie. It knows what you're listening to and when you're listening to it and how long you're listening to it. And the sample has gotten so small, I can't give you numbers because I don't know exactly, but it's such a small amount of people that agree to carry these devices for a small fee. I think some of them get between $30 and $50 a month to carry it.
Yeah.
And but if you get a family of 4, I mean, that's an extra $200 just to carry a stupid device around in your purse. If you're a woman or I guess a dude, you could probably put it in your pocket. I don't know how bulky it is, but okay, you make a few bucks. It's generally low-income families, I think, that agree to do it because they need the money. I mean, you're not going to find somebody that has this, 7-bedroom, 7-bath house in Cranberry that's going to agree to
Yes.
carry a pager around for a month for $50. They're like, I don't need your $50. Kiss my ass, right? So you
Right.
target low-income people. They agree to carry it. It tracks the listenership. There's so few people that do it. It's such a small sample, but it speaks for the entire market. So, and there's ways as a programmer where you can sort of find out and track where these devices are being placed, and you can do, you can do special things for that area, or do a contest, and you can go on social media now and you can target a specific audience to let people know within a certain area that this contest is happening for you. If you got this, you don't say if you got the device, but you know where to chase the people. And our boss was actually really good at that. He was really smart, knew where to go to get the people. But so that's what it is. Sorry if that was a little confusing or winded.
No, it's perfect because it's the point of we're getting rated on a very, very, very small scale. And I think a very outdated system. And like you said, it's like who wants to carry a pager around for no money? Like it's not worth anyone's time to even carry this thing around. It's stupid. So it's like, that was what was so frustrating about it was we're getting so judged and based and rated on just that and being told we're not good or XYZ or whatever. So like you said, yeah, our boss had a way to kind of play the game, but you at least did it better than him, clearly, by moving the Taylor Swift contest and putting it somewhere where people would listen.
Well, and you knew better, too, because you urged me not to run a lot of callers live because, our audience was a little older in Pittsburgh, and some of the people were pretty winded, the caller. Mm-hmm. And, God bless them, they were wonderful people, and they were very passionate about our show. But we put them on the air live, and they were really incredibly winded, and it would just be a tune-out, and we knew that. But I would take too long to edit stuff, and our boss told us that. And he's like, you're taking too long. I want to hear stuff after every song, so just put people on live. And you're like, we shouldn't do that. Tape it. And I'm like, I don't have time because you can't cut these people off to tape it and then edit it and then put it on. It was really a catch-22. It was really a fucked up mess. Put people on live, but we couldn't, but we needed to, but it ended up going on too long, so we'd lose people. Whew. Stressful.
I appreciate the experience. I appreciate my time with you. So that at least is something to take away from it. But you said you kind of had a similar thing happen after Pittsburgh, right? In a different market?
Yeah, I was working for a different conglomerate in Detroit, and we had a turnover in management, and I had a new guy come in, and I could see the writing on the wall. I mean, he was like exactly like our boss in Pittsburgh, and I just ran as quick and as fast as I could to get out of there because I could see it was going to be a really toxic work environment. But man, I'm really lucky to be where I am now. I see the guy that owns the stations every day. Like, he's super complimentary. He's always smiling. They love what I've brought to the table here. They love what I'm doing. They give you complete creative control. There's no micromanaging. And believe it or not, we're having a tremendous amount of success. The station's it was a pop station for the first 13 years it was on the air. And then 2 years ago, we flipped it to this throwback station. And we've had amazing ratings since we flipped it. And I'm in charge of the imaging. I do the morning show, and I never get criticized or put under the microscope for anything. And we're having incredible success. And I think mostly everybody that works there is happy. I mean, I think everybody's happy, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And we don't follow any rules either. I mean, I heard you talk about how radio is kind of dying this slow death, and everybody knows that. I hate to say, because I'm in it. Like, I don't want to say my industry's dying. Right. I don't think it's dying everywhere. I think that there are markets where people are being allowed to have fun and be creative and think outside the box, and I think those markets are going to continue to flourish and do well and adapt and continue to change. And I think we're one of those markets. Like, a lot of radio stations, especially the bigger companies, they've got playlists. Like, this is what you're going to play. These are the records that test. These are what's on the chart. We got to make the record labels happy. Here in Traverse City, we don't answer to any record labels, and we just kind of do what we want. Like, there's a new Charlie XCX has a new single out. I think it's called 360. But I'm not playing it. Instead, I've listened to the full album, and we decided that the song Guess with Billie Eilish is a better fit for us, and it's more fun. So we're going to play that instead. And my boss is like, okay, do whatever you want. I mean, we literally don't follow any rules. There's no labels that call us. We don't answer to them. I wouldn't care if they did call me. I don't understand when anybody ever tells me. I've worked in markets where people are like, you can't drop that record because I'm going to hear from the label. Well, does the fucking record label sign your paycheck? Who signs your paycheck? Record labels should stop dictating stuff. Stations should play what they want. Stations should do what they want. Content is king. It's what sets radio stations apart now. If you have good content and you can actually connect with people. I hear a lot of jocks when I'm listening, sampling other stations that are so vanilla and so disconnected from reality. And I don't know if that's because they're doing so many things because we all wear multiple hats now, or if they just can't connect. But like when you have something happen in your life, something significant, if you're not able to talk about it, and I understand certain things might be too personal, but significant things in your life need to be discussed. You need to be willing to put yourself out there because people will never forget that. It becomes very sticky and you become their person when you've been through something and they've been through something similar, or they just know, fuck, this person's real, you know? Like telling fucking stories is what is going to keep us alive in our industry. It's not the music. Music's great. People want to hear some songs, but people don't need to hear the new Post Malone song every 60 minutes. They need to connect with somebody in something. Everybody's depressed and sad since COVID. If you can't connect with them on an emotional level, you got to get out of here. Like you're gonna kill this industry.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. Wow, you nailed it. That's fantastic. Because I think that's why I had that bad taste in my mouth, unfortunately, because it felt like we couldn't be ourselves. We were told constantly who we were didn't matter, and people didn't want that. And people were coming for the music, and you have to be country, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to do stunts, you have to do all of this stuff that doesn't work anymore because that's what I believe works, right? But everything that you said without me even being in radio, that's how I feel as a human. If I'm going to listen to radio, I'm going to listen because I feel like I connect with you and I feel like I know you, and I think that's why podcasts, there are people that love podcasts because it's like, take the music out of it completely and you are getting to know that person on a deeper level, and I think that's incredibly valuable. So in radio, you're doing that around music and you're doing that around the big conglomerates rules where you do have to answer to the record labels and you have to play songs so many times and spin them XYZ how many times and all of that. So it's like, I am so happy to hear that you're in that position now and you are working for someone that you have that freedom because that's what you needed. And I feel like you belong in a place like that, but you deserve to be in a place like that because it was really heartbreaking for us to just constantly be shit on all the time when I knew we had it. I knew you had it in this like special way. And it was just like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. You suck. Come into my office. Let me yell at you some more.
Yeah, I never felt so awful about myself, and I almost thought I should quit radio too. When you quit, I'm like, man, is this not right for me? I don't know what the hell's going on here. Like, it just, there was nothing that we could do that was right or good. And
nothing.
The whole sales thing, I remember having a meeting with one of the sales reps because we had heard that she was saying shit about us around the office, and I called a meeting with the general manager and this woman, and she just denied everything, obviously. And I mean, I already knew things were over at that point, but it was just like, fuck, man, like everybody here just hates us. And like, what did we do? And you try to be self-aware and you try to reflect on things like, is there something I did? And it was just like,
right.
I don't know what the fuck we did where people hated us so much. I didn't understand it. Like, do I got a booger? Like, am I just my face? You want to punch my face? I don't know. Like, what the hell is it? I could never figure it out.
Innocent until proven guilty, right? It wasn't like that. It was like the opposite. Like we went into that show with everyone just hating us to begin with. And we were like, why? Like you said, what did we do? But it was just a fucked up environment. It didn't make sense. And we even at one point to kiss ass took beer around to all the salespeople. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, I do.
Because that's how desperate we were, but we didn't deserve that. Like to start on this field that was never going to accept us is what it kind of felt like for no fucking reason.
I know that when I interviewed for the job, I came to Pittsburgh and I remember you had mentioned this to me and, you know, I had to meet with everybody individually and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't, you know, I need to be somewhat prepared for things. Like I can't always fly by the seat of my pants. We're radio people. I'm not a television person. I don't do movies. And it was just like, I remember being brought to the station after I was out until like 3 o'clock in the morning with our boss drinking. And he was like, pick me up at 8 and start making me talk to people. I'm like, holy shit, like, what is this? I was wasted like a couple hours ago. And here I am being forced into rooms with people I don't know. And it's talk to this person. They've worked here. And I remember my go-to question was like, where should I live if I move here? And I remember you told me that came off as kind of like, I don't know if conceited is the right word, but like, oh, this guy already thinks he's got the job. And I didn't mean for it to come off that way. I just was like awkward and didn't know what to say to people. I should have been like, fuck, is this place fucked up? Because if it is, you should tell me so I can run. And everybody, and I got there and I realized how fucked up it was. And I started saying to people, man, this place is fucked up. Yeah, I know. I'm like, why didn't you tell me?
Oh my God, that should have been your question. See, as we said, we both remember certain things and recall different things. I don't remember ever saying that to you. That's funny. I don't remember saying that, but now I can hear me saying that to you. That makes sense.
Like, yeah, people thought that was really conceited. I don't know if that's the word used, and I'm like, oh, I can see how it would totally come off that way, but I just was awkward and didn't know what else to say, and it seemed like a good place to start the conversation because I didn't know what the fuck I was supposed to say to these people. They were all people from other stations that I wasn't going to directly work with, so I wasn't sure what the point of any of that was.
Is there anything else you want to get off of your chest to kind of put it out there and finally after how many years have this closure on Pittsburgh?
Man, I just hope that I haven't said anything that I should have said. I'm like, am I going to get in trouble for even talking about Pittsburgh? I feel like if I even look at Pittsburgh on a map, somebody's going to yell at me. Like it's all this like PTSD from my time there.
I know.
I don't think we had a really good run. Like I had so much fun with you, and I know. It's so sad that it only lasted like months instead of years. And I wish that I could have lured you into another market or talked you into taking another position to come and work in a market where like it wasn't a toxic work environment, because we would have had so much success and so much fun. But it's kind of, I mean, just think about how much fun we had in such a miserable environment. And if we could have been in like a good, healthy work environment, I mean, oh my God, it would have been like
I know,
begging to go to work.
I know. I feel like we would have been unstoppable, and that's what's so heartbreaking about this. It's like we had a lot of fun, and it's like I don't know, it's just fucked up. But as I've said multiple times, any remote opportunity, but I know that's never a thing, and you don't want that, but we could still have fun remotely, like we are right now.
Right? Maybe you can fill in for my co-host next time she goes on vacation. Maybe we could do
Perfect. Keep me posted. But yeah, I mean, to wrap up, it was a fucked up experience. It was ridiculous. I had a very experienced man, i.e. you, telling me this isn't normal. It shouldn't be this way, but we made the best of it. Like I said, I feel like we trauma bonded over just getting railed every day, but I have been waiting for this moment to get to talk to you and just finally be able to lay it all out. So especially on a whim, you joining me today, it means more than anything. Broadway, thank you so much for being on the cookie table.
Thanks for having me. It was nice to see you and nice to talk to you. I miss you.
I miss you too. Thank you.